Ashley, please tell me it's not true what I heard about Chris's condition. I heard he took a turn for the worst and things are looking bleak for him. I was shocked when I heard it, so I had to call you and verify it with you.
That's right. He did get worse this weekend. He had a serious complication and they had to rush him to the ICU. It was a close call for a while, but he managed to pull through and stabilize. They moved him back to his own room and he's under close watch. He's even able to talk a little bit now, but he's still very weak.
What? He made it through that whole ordeal?
Huh?
I'm so glad he's still alive.
Me too. But he's not safe yet. He still has a long road to recovery. Do you think you can make some time this weekend and come see him? He really wants to see all of his grandkids. I know it would mean the world to him and to my dad. And it might even lift his spirits and help him heal faster.
I don't want to see him. Hospitals make me sick. They have this horrible smell that sticks in your nose. I can't stand it.
What?
And besides, people like him who are that ill, they lose so much weight and they look thin and pale. It's terrifying to me. If I brought the kids to see their grandpa in that state, they would be traumatized for life. They would have nightmares about him.
Is that what this is really about? How about you and your husband just come by yourselves then? You don't have to stay long, just a few minutes to say hi and show him some support. Even the doctor said it would be good for him to see some familiar faces soon.
No, absolutely not. I hate hospitals, and Carson is buried with work right now. We don't have the time or the interest to go and see Chris at the hospital right now.
Are you sure?
And also, there's that whole thing with his health declining so fast. Maybe we should start preparing for the worst. Do you have any idea where Chris keeps his bank details or his checkbook? Do you know how much money he has saved for his heirs? Do you know what his portfolio looks like right now?
What?
He's gonna kick the bucket any day now. So we should be ready with his estate to be settled. I'm sure he's fine with you being by his side at the hospital, so you can keep doing it if you want. I'll take care of everything. This has nothing to do with his finances and assets, okay?
How can you say something so cold and heartless, Sienna? What do you mean he's going to kick the bucket any day now? He's fighting for his life right now, and he's going to make it. He's going to come home and see everyone again. So stop talking about him like he's already dead.
I know how you feel about all this, I really do. But I think it's better to be realistic and plan ahead, just in case. We don't want to get caught off guard later on with all this, when we'll need to be focusing on grieving for him, right?
You stop that right now. There's no point in dealing with any of his money right now anyway, right? You're too busy to come and see him in the hospital, so you must be too busy to handle any of that right now. So leave all this talk about his inheritance alone. Carson, what are you doing right now? I've been begging you to come to the hospital as fast as you can. Your dad finally got discharged from this hellhole, but as soon as we reached home, he collapsed again.
Do you have any clue what time it is? I understand that it's a crisis for you. But give me a break. It's the middle of the night for me. Once I've had my fair share of sleep, I'll come to the hospital. I'm sure it's nothing new with him anyway. And he'll still be there for me when I wake up. Once you sort things out over there and I'm refreshed from my sleep, I'll be there.
I'm not joking right now. Carson, you get your ass in here right now and see your dad. He is in a very bad shape. I'm afraid this might be the end for him.
What?
So please, get a move on and get to the hospital. This is not the time for you to be snoozing, okay?
Are you serious? In other words, this means my doom is near as well.
What did you just say?
Nothing. Don't fret about it. I'm on my way to the hospital right now.
Hey, Sienna, what the hell are you up to? What do you think you're doing? Throwing me out of there like that? The funeral is about to begin any minute now, you know. Let me back into the building right now.
I'm sorry, Ashley, but this funeral is very important for your son and me. So can you please just zip it and go home? Carson and I are going to take care of everything from now on. So you can just go back home and cry over your husband in peace. Also, you're a nuisance today, so please just scram.
I'm a nuisance? What the hell are you and Carson up to today without me at my husband's funeral? I know that Carson is the oldest of my kids, but he doesn't get to call the shots like that. Especially when he has no clue who's going to show up for the funeral today.
I'm sure he's got a good sense of what's going on, so don't fret about him.
What? And what is this about today being very important for the both of you? Do you both not realize that today is the funeral of my husband, your guys' father?
And I'm telling you that because of that. Today's very important for us. The CEO of the company has died. So now it's time for his oldest son, Carson, to step up and run the company. In other words, today is the day for him to make his mark.
Huh?
Sure, there are a lot of other relatives here today, but there's also going to be a bunch of big shots from all kinds of companies here to pay their respects to your husband. So this is Carson's opportunity to impress them all and secure his future as the next CEO. And standing by his side today will be me, the CEO's wife. I'm so happy. On a day like today, both Carson and I went to the salon before this and got ourselves looking all sleek and ready for what we had to do to flaunt today.
So this is what you've both been waiting for all along? You both even went to the salon together before this and got all dolled up and everything. Will you please stop the nonsense right now? Sienna, the purpose of this funeral is to grieve the loss of my husband. It's not a place for you and Carson to strut your stuff and try to look good for the business. I have no idea what's gotten to the both of you thinking this funeral is a place where you need to charm all of those other company men. And the fact that Carson said it's his time as well. Now, please, don't ruin my husband's funeral like this just for your guys' selfish ambitions.
The only person here that needs to stop the nonsense is you, Ashley. Your husband has just passed away on us. The next person in charge is going to be your oldest son, Carson. Do you really think it's okay for you to be talking to the most powerful man in this family's wife like that right now?
Huh?
I totally get that. You still have a lot of feelings running through you as your husband just left us. But could you please snap out of it for me? After your husband's gone, it's the oldest son's turn. And since that's just happened, you're no longer the queen of the family. All you are now is some useless old woman that we could honestly do without.
Excuse me?
I'm sure the only reason you have all that arrogance in yourself right now is due to the power that your husband gave you. But those days are over for you now. So please give it up and let us take the lead. Your days of being the boss in the family and telling me what to do have died, along with your husband's days of being the CEO.
And since when have I been telling you what to do, Sienna?
Huh? Tell me when you haven't been, how about that? Ordering me to come see your husband as he was on his deathbed, even though I don't give a damn about him. And ordering me to drag my kids along to see him, even though his gaunt body would have freaked them out. Honestly, every time you try and tell me to do things, it really annoyed me. It's a pointless exercise to go out and see some old cougar that's about to croak. Why would I ever want to do that? Did you really think that by having Carson and I there to chat with him and see him with you, he'd miraculously recover from whatever nonsense sickness he had?
What the hell are you spewing right now?
What do you think I'm spewing? Well, I'll show you, but not with words. You'll just have to wait and see. Because right now, I can't stand you in that mood anymore. The funeral is going to start any second now, and I don't have time to waste on you. I know you were just getting to the juicy part, but that'll have to wait. I'm going to be the wife of a CEO, and I can't believe just how much I'm grinning at a funeral.
What? The wife of a CEO?
That's right. Remember, since now your husband is dead, he's going to be leaving a lot of money behind for us. So we're going to be snatching all that money and everything, as well as taking over the company he left for Carson. I thought it was pretty obvious to you already, though. But anyway, once he's the CEO, I'm going to be the CEO's wife, right? Did you know that ever since I was a little girl, I've always dreamed of being the wife of some super rich CEO? So now that my dream is finally coming true for me, I just can't stop myself from grinning.
I think I've had enough of you both. Especially you, though, tossing me out of the funeral and then hijacking it as though it's meant to be about you both. And not just that, but now you think you have access to all my husband's money and his company, which has made both you smile like some lunatic? You really are such a shameless woman.
Well, now I'm going to have to conceal this smile for the time being and put on a more solemn and mournful face to fool the crowd. It would be pretty wrong for me to be smiling at a funeral of all places, right?
Well, you've been pretty twisted this whole time, so why hide it at all? I'm trying to text Carson right now, but he seems to be ignoring me. For some reason, I'm getting the feeling that all this isn't going to work out in your guys' favor, though.
Now I'd like you to leave the premises at once and head back home with your mouth shut. For us, the CEO of the company has struck out, and the next is up to bat, his oldest son. And me being his wife means that I'll become the wife of a CEO.
Carson isn't even a part of the company!
What?
Yet you still believe that he's going to be able to get into the company and become the CEO of it right away? You must be so thrilled about becoming the wife of a CEO that you totally forgot about common sense. I'm sorry, but the next CEO of the company has already been chosen. And of course, since Carson hasn't been working for the company at all, he is not going to be the CEO. If you understand that now, I want you to open the door for me and let me back inside.
What the hell do you mean he's not been working for the company? Carson has told me that ever since he graduated from college, he's been working for his dad's company.
And when was it that he told you that? It's been 3 years now since Carson was fired from his dad's company.
Huh? He was fired?
Yep. He was terrible at all of the work he has assigned to do. And that really started to infuriate his dad a lot. Of course, when he got fired, it was during a time when he was supposed to be handling a very important client for the company. But he whined about having to do all that work and ran away from his duties. That then pushed his dad over the limit, and he said he was done with Carson for good. Although my husband's initial plans were to make Carson the next CEO someday, those plans quickly vanished. The next thing he knew, he was giving Carson the boot.
What? Hold on. I never heard anything about those incidents. Also, Carson has been going to work as if nothing's changed for ages now.
Maybe right after being fired, he was able to find some other company that took him in. I'm not sure where he could be working now, but...
But Carson is your guy's oldest son, right?
And?
And that means he should be next in line to take over the company from your husband.
Nope. Chris has made it very obvious to everyone at the company that the next person to be the CEO will be his son, David, Carson's little brother. Chris told everyone that he couldn't rely on his oldest son to take over the company, so he'd be letting his second oldest handle everything next.
Huh? He's letting David be the next CEO? And he announced that to everyone in the company already?
He even wrote that down in his will.
What?
You were the one that told me to start thinking about all of that while my husband was still in the hospital, right? About things like his inheritance and properties? I took that as meaning I did need to get on top of some of those things. So I went and started talking to Chris about everything he would be leaving behind. Also, when he was out of the hospital for a day, he got one of his lawyers to come over and he rewrote a new will.
And you're telling me that part of the will say David takes it over next?
Unlike his dad, David is a very cool and collected man. But even so, he happens to be very skilled at doing business and has the evidence to show for it. Even other employees within my husband's company say great things about how well he performs his work. For a little while, he had only been working with his dad after Carson got fired, of course, and started learning what it takes to lead a company. So this was always going to happen. David becoming the next CEO. But just to make sure there'd be no glitches, we wrote it down in Chris's will.
You're lying. There's no way the next CEO would be the oldest. And Carson is the oldest son to Chris. I've never heard a case where the oldest was skipped and then the next in line was given the company.
Well, Chris had no other option. His oldest was far less capable at his job than he had expected.
Huh?
I'm so glad that today David wasn't able to make it to the funeral. I'm sure he feels bad about having to be in New York for a business trip and all right now. But at least he doesn't have to be here when his idiotic older brother and imbecile sister-in-law are right now. I'm sure if he was, then things would only become more chaotic for him.
There's no way this is happening. Even Carson was saying the time has to come. He was so friggin' ecstatic to be the next CEO of his dad's company.
Well, I can go tell him the truth right now for you. So please, let me inside the building. And honestly, I'm not going to worry too much about you both believing in a fantasy because I want to focus on my husband's funeral. Everyone else is patiently waiting for the funeral to start, so please let me in right now.
Wait. Who cares about the funeral right now? Carson and I are far more important at the moment. This is about my dream, after all. Right now, that dream is in danger of never coming true for me. So this is not the time for people to be worried about someone who's already dead.
Well, if that seems to be the case for you, then I want you to go home right now. I'm not holding back anymore. I'm going to the front of the building right now, and I'll let the funeral director know that you no longer should be allowed in this funeral. Actually, I'll let them know that both you and my oldest son are not allowed in here. Then you both can be escorted out by them.
Mom, what is the meaning of this outrageous situation? Why am I being denied the opportunity to become the next CEO of this company? It's not too late to change the decision and make me the CEO. Tell that David to step aside and let me take over the role that rightfully belongs to me.
That David is not just some random person. He is the man your dad personally selected and appointed to be the CEO. He made it very clear in his will. So, I'm not going to disrespect his wishes and ask David to give up the role that his late father entrusted him with.
The freaking will? Who gives a damn about what Dad said? He's gone now. He's not here to see what's happening. Why can't you just do me a favor and let me be the CEO? It's not like he'll ever find out that I was made a CEO instead of David, right?
What are you saying, Carson? How dare you talk about your dad in his final words like that? Have you no shame?
Shame? Don't talk to me about shame. What's shameful is what's going on here. I know Dad fired me from the company a few years ago, but I always thought that after he passed away, you'd be kind enough to let me back into his business. I've been living with that hope that you would realize that the role of CEO should be inherited by the oldest son. You're twisted, Mom.
I'm not the one who's twisted. It's you and your wife who are messed up. What the hell were you thinking when you decided not to tell your wife that you were fired 3 years ago? Why were you keeping such a big secret from her?
I wasn't keeping anything from her. I just got lucky and managed to make the money we needed from some slot machines.
Slot machines? Are you kidding me? You mean to tell me that you gambled away the money you earned? Wait a minute. Are you telling me that you never even got another job after being fired? What the hell have you been doing with your life ever since your dad kicked you out of the company?
I gave up on working and decided to make all the money I need from slot machines. I've been on a huge winning streak from a long time now. So I brought in more than enough money to support myself and Sienna.
You are a father, Carson. You have children to take care of. And yet, you're telling me that this whole time you've been putting your entire family's future at stake on some slot machines? Have you lost your mind?
I haven't lost anything. I thought that after Dad died, I'd be able to get back to work for his company. Hell, I thought I'd be back in his company way before he died. I thought if I acted all sad and depressed around him, he would feel sorry for me and hire me back. But for the past few years, he never even spoke to me. So I never had a chance to lie to him about how I was feeling. Then this year he decided to get sick and die. It's not my fault that I had to keep gambling while Dad was wasting his time by not ever talking to me and then getting terminally ill.
For the love of God.
And now I have to sit here and listen to you, telling me that David is getting the company. If that's how things are going to be, then screw that stupid company. Just give me the damn money he left for me, and I'll shut up about everything. I'll make sure to use all the money I'm getting to continue my winning streak at the casino. Did you know that I've been going deeper and deeper into debt, waiting for Dad to get back to me about letting me work for him again? I've had to borrow money from shady people in order to keep playing the slots. If I don't start making some profit here, things are going to get really ugly for me.
You've been borrowing money?
Yeah, But I'm sure that Dad has a ton of money in his savings that will be coming to me, right? Sure, half will be going to you, of course, but the other half will be for his sons. But David is going to be getting the company, so you can give me both my share and his. He's not going to need any of that money, right? So just hand over the money to me, and while you're at it, give me whatever stocks he owns as well.
Carson, I have some very bad news for you. Your dad doesn't actually have much money left after he passed away.
What? Are you kidding me, Mom? How can he not have a fortune left? He was the founder and the CEO of this company for more than 4 decades. You two live in that huge mansion, and he owns several other properties. And what about all those fancy cars he drives? How can you tell me he has nothing left when he has all of that?
You must have known how your dad ran his company by himself, right? And yes, he has a lot of land and some very nice cars that he used to drive a lot when he was younger. But over the years, he invested all those things into his company. And now the cars and land are a part of the company assets. He left me with enough money to live comfortably, but the rest has gone into the company and is not part of the will.
What? Do you have any idea what's going to happen with all the money I owe? I thought Dad would leave me hundreds of thousands after he died. I thought I could pay off all the loans and keep playing the slots without getting into more trouble. I thought this was my chance, and I'd never have to worry about debt or work again.
You need to figure out what you're going to do next by yourself. If you can't help your family on your own, then you need to tell Sienna the whole truth and ask her for help. And as for the debt, well, you brought that on yourself, so you're going to have to find a way to pay it off. I may be getting a lot of money from your dad, but it's only enough to make me happy in my old age.
I have a huge favor to ask you, Ashley. Can you please make Carson the CEO of the company? I'm sure that everyone in the company, as well as the customers, want him to be the next CEO. I know that if you don't make the oldest son the next CEO, then you'll be ruining the reputation of the whole company.
Well, let me tell you something, Sienna. All of the people in the company, as well as all of the other businesses that we work with, have requested David to be the CEO. He's been working with them for years now. And everyone trusts that David can do the job right.
But there's a major issue with David. He's not even married yet. So what's going to happen to the company after he dies or retires? That's why you need to act now and make Carson the CEO of the company before it's too late.
What? You're concerned about what happens to the company after David?
I'm sure David's good at what he does, but he doesn't have a partner, and it looks like he never will. As far as I know, he's never even dated anyone before, right? So there's no chance of him ever getting married now. I mean, he's never going to have any children who will take over the company after him. But when it comes to your oldest son and his wife, they have a really, really adorable little boy, right? If you make Carson the CEO of the company now, then there's hope that the company will stay in his family's legacy.
So you're using your own son as a way of getting the company? Well, Sienna, did you know that you have no say in telling David who he can or can't choose as the next CEO of the company? He doesn't have to give it to anyone in the family. He has every right to pass it on to one of his loyal employees, or he might even want to sell the company to someone else. So nobody, not me, not you, not Carson, has any right to tell him what to do with the company when he retires. I probably won't even be alive by then, so there's nothing I can do about it.
No way.
I've heard about the debt your husband is in right now. I know that you and he are trying to do everything you can to get any money left by my husband, but you need to give up.
Don't tell us to give up like that. It's not as easy as you think. Right now our lives are in danger. Carson owes $30,000 to a loan shark.
Really, that much?
You have to do something to help us pay it off. This is your son's debt we're talking about, and I'm suffering a lot because of it. As your mother-in-law, you need to help me, please.
You shut your mouth right now, you whining witch! You are both grown-ups now, with children, and need to learn how to take responsibility for yourselves. I don't care about that guy's debt, and I never will. And he's your husband. So, do your damn job and support him through this hard time. When my husband was building his company, he got into hundreds of thousands worth of loans, and we worked together to pay them off. So you can handle 30,000, you baby?
You might be able to handle that, but I can't. I might be his wife, but I just can't.
Then go ahead and divorce the pathetic loser. It's your freaking life, after all. So you decide what you want with it. That's it for me. I can empathize with all the crap you're going through right now, but you have to deal with it and handle it.
But wait, Ashley, are you going to abandon us? Aren't you going to help us out at least a little bit?
You know damn well I'm done with you both. I despise you guys with every fiber of my being.
What?
You tried to throw me out of my husband's funeral. You then went around grinning about how you could use his funeral to boost your image. I will never forgive either one of you for something as heartless as that. And now you're begging for my help? No way!
No, wait, Ashley. That was,
No, I'm leaving now. I don't blame my sweet grandkids for any of this. But you and Carson deserve all of my wrath. So, I really hope that you two can sort something out for their sake. And then, those two morons crawled to David, pleading for him to help them while they both cried their eyes out. So, being the generous and calm man that he is, David took them to one of the factories he owned. At first, both Carson and Sienna got paid peanuts and had no breaks, and they whined about it a lot. Carson would even confront the factory manager sometimes and claim that he was the CEO's brother and deserved better. To which the manager would snap back, saying that the CEO told him he could fire those two whenever he wanted. After hearing that, Carson never complained about the job again, and both he and Sienna kept working in that factory. According to some gossip, that manager used to go to school with Sienna, where she would torment him all the time. So, who knows what kind of nightmare he's making her live through right now? Well, for the time being, those two fools are going to bust their asses for years, trying to make enough money to pay off Carson's debt.